Have you ever glanced at the clock in the middle of the night, only to see those glowing red numbers, 3:07 a.m., and wondered, why does this keep happening to me? Maybe you try to brush it off, telling yourself it's just part of getting older, but deep down, you feel a twinge of frustration every time you find yourself awake in the darkness. You're not alone. The truth is, many senior women wake up between 3 and 5 in the morning, and most never talk about it. It's one of those quietly shared secrets, something that slips into casual conversation over coffee with a tired laugh. There I was, wide awake at 3:30 again. What's wrong with me? Honestly, I used to be right there with you, staring at the ceiling, counting the hours left before sunrise, feeling both annoyed and strangely resigned. But what if I told you there's nothing broken about you? There are gentle, practical ways to handle these early wake-ups, simple steps that require no judgment or self-blame. You might even be surprised to learn that waking up at 3 a.m. can reveal things about your health and heart that are worth listening to. If you're ready, let me whisper a little secret. These restless moments can become the most peaceful, meaningful part of your night. Curious? Stick with me, because the tips I'm about to share might just change the way you see those early morning hours. And tell me, have you found yourself waking up at this time, too? I'd love to hear your story. You deserve sleep that truly restores you. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. Now, let's begin. 1. Don't force yourself back to sleep. Do this instead. Waking up in the quiet hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. can be one of the most frustrating experiences, especially when you're older. If you're a senior woman who often finds herself staring at the ceiling, desperately willing to sleep to return, you're not alone. I remember those restless nights all too well. The heavy sighs, the racing thoughts, the awkward attempts to settle back under the covers only to find that elusive sleep slipping further away. But here's a truth that might surprise you. Forcing yourself back to sleep is one of the worst things you can do. Think about it for a moment. You wake up, you check the clock, and panic bubbles up. Maybe you calculate how many precious minutes of sleep you're losing. If I fall asleep right now, I still get 3 hours. Or, only an hour left. How am I going to make it through the day? That internal pressure, the silent bargaining with yourself, only makes it harder to drift off again. This isn't just a feeling, it's biology. When we stress about not sleeping, our bodies release cortisol, the stress hormone, which is designed to keep us alert and awake. So ironically, by stressing about sleep, you are pushing it further away. The key is to stop fighting the wakefulness. Instead of tossing and turning or wrestling your mind into submission, try a different approach, one that honors what your body is telling you. Start by sitting up slowly in bed. Close your eyes if it feels right, and take deep, deliberate breaths. Inhale slowly through your nose, letting your belly rise gently. Then exhale fully through your mouth, allowing any tension to melt away with each breath. This simple breath work tells your nervous system that you are safe and ready to relax. It signals a shift from the fight or flight stress response to the calming rest and digest mode. Next, gently check in with your body. Are you uncomfortable? Sometimes it's the little things. Maybe your pillow has slipped out of place or your sheets have tangled around your legs. Perhaps the room feels too warm or a bit chilly. These subtle discomforts can easily keep you awake, but they're often overlooked when panic sets in. Take a moment to adjust your surroundings. Fluff your pillow, loosen a blanket, or open a window just a crack if fresh air helps you feel more at ease. These small acts of kindness toward your body can make a surprisingly big difference. Now, here's something you might find comforting and even inspiring. Some of history's greatest thinkers, from Leonardo da Vinci to Benjamin Franklin and Nikola Tesla, reportedly used these early morning wake-ups not as a nuisance, but as a gift. Instead of lying frustrated in bed, they rose gently and used the quiet stillness to reflect, journal, or plan. This unspoken tradition of turning a restless moment into a peaceful one might be just what you need to transform your experience. If you're willing to try, keep a small notebook or journal by your bedside. When you wake up and find your mind spinning, don't fight it. Instead, jot down whatever thoughts come to you. Plans for the next day, ideas you want to remember, or even just what you're feeling at the moment. Writing can be a powerful way to release worry and create clarity. You might be surprised how much wisdom and calm can come from those early morning pages. Of course, this doesn't mean you have to leap out of bed every time you wake up. The goal is gentle acceptance, not forcing yourself awake, but also not forcing yourself back to sleep in frustration. If sitting up and breathing doesn't help right away, that's okay. Sometimes just acknowledging the wakefulness without judgment can ease the pressure. It's also important to remember that waking up at these hours isn't a sign that you're failing at sleep or that something is seriously wrong. As we age, our sleep patterns naturally shift. Deep sleep stages may shorten, and it's more common to wake during the night. This new rhythm can feel unfamiliar and even upsetting if you compare it to the uninterrupted sleep you had in your younger years. But it's part of the natural journey, and learning to flow with it rather than fight it can be freeing. You might wonder, if I'm awake, won't my mind start to wander into worries or restless thoughts? That's a valid concern, and it happens to everyone. That's why the breathing exercise is so important. It anchors you in the present moment, helping you to notice your body without judgment. When thoughts arise, and they will, simply observe them as if you're watching clouds pass by, without grabbing hold or chasing them. If you find your mind still restless after breathing and adjusting your comfort, try a few gentle stretches right in bed or sitting at the edge. Roll your neck slowly in circles, shrug your shoulders up and down, or bend forward to release tension in your back. These subtle movements help your muscles relax and signal to your nervous system that it's okay to settle down. Remember, the goal isn't to trick your body into sleep or to punish yourself for waking up early. It's about listening to your body with kindness and curiosity. When you treat these moments as opportunities, times to check in with yourself, to breathe, and to care, you may find they become less frustrating and more nurturing. So the next time you wake up in the early morning hours, resist the urge to panic or force sleep. Instead, pause. Breathe deeply. Adjust your comfort. Reach for a notebook. Embrace the stillness. This gentle, mindful approach can turn what once felt like a cruel interruption into a moment of calm clarity, one that honors both your body and your mind. You deserve peaceful nights and mornings filled with ease. Don't let those early awakenings steal your rest or your peace. With patience and compassion, you can learn to meet these moments with grace, and maybe even a little quiet joy. 2. Hydrate, but with the right drink. After years of restless nights, I finally started to notice a peculiar pattern. There I was, lying awake at 3:20 a.m. again, my mind bouncing from yesterday's memories to tomorrow's worries. But there was also something else, a dryness in my mouth, a strange heaviness in my head, and an unmistakable sense that something inside me was just out of balance. It wasn't just the clock on my nightstand or the thoughts in my mind keeping me awake. It was my body sending out a subtle, persistent signal, a plea for water. It's funny how often we overlook the simplest needs, especially as we get older. So many of us have spent decades caring for others, making sure our families are fed and our grandchildren have their favorite snacks. But when it comes to our own basic needs, we so easily forget. Hydration, for most of my life, seemed like the sort of thing you only worried about on a summer's day, or after a walk in the park. But the truth is, as we age, our bodies become quieter in their requests. No more loud pangs of thirst, just gentle nudges in the form of a dry mouth, restless legs, a mild headache, or that strange overheated feeling in the dead of night. Let me tell you a little secret. One of the most overlooked reasons we wake up at those odd, lonely hours is dehydration. It might sound too simple, but countless senior women, myself included, have discovered that our nighttime wakefulness is often just our bodies quietly asking for a sip of water. As we age, our sense of thirst dulls, and the systems that regulate fluid balance become less sensitive. It's all too easy to go through the day sipping only a little here and there, never quite getting enough. And then, in the silence of the early morning, our bodies finally sound the alarm. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. But here's where things get interesting. It's not just about drinking more water, it's about drinking the right kind of water at the right time. Many people, in their sleepy state, stumble into the kitchen and gulp down a glass of cold water, thinking they're doing their bodies a favor. I used to do the same, until I learned, through trial and error and more than a few uncomfortable wake-ups, that the temperature and type of drink matter just as much as the act itself. Imagine this. It's 3 a.m., your mouth is parched, and you reach for a glass of ice-cold water. The shock of cold against your throat is jarring. You shiver, feeling your body tense, and suddenly your heart feels like it's racing a little too fast. That cold water, instead of soothing you, can stimulate your body and make it even harder to relax back into sleep. Our bodies, especially as we get older, crave gentle transitions, not shocks to the system. I started keeping a small thermos of warm water by my bedside. Not hot, not tepid, just pleasantly warm, the way a summer breeze feels on your skin or a gentle bath soothes tired muscles. A few sips of this gentle warmth, and I found my body settling, my nerves calming, and that dry, scratchy feeling slowly fading away. There's something almost ritualistic, almost nurturing, about sipping warm water in the still of the night, like a mother tucking her child in after a nightmare. But there's more to the story. I learned from my doctor, and later confirmed it through conversations with friends and plenty of reading, that adding a tiny pinch of sea salt to your water can make all the difference. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Haven't we been told all our lives to watch our salt intake? And it's true, too much salt isn't good for anyone. But in the case of natural, unprocessed sea salt, just a pinch, it can help your body hold on to the water you drink, rather than flushing it out immediately. You see, when we sleep, we lose electrolytes through breathing and sweating, even if we don't notice it. That little pinch of sea salt helps restore the balance, making every sip count. Sometimes, if I'm feeling fancy, I'll add a squeeze of fresh lemon to my warm water. Lemon not only adds a refreshing flavor but also supports digestion and can gently stimulate the liver to flush out overnight toxins. There's a quiet satisfaction in these small acts of care, preparing a thermos before bed, slicing a lemon, measuring a tiny pinch of salt. It's like sending a love note to my future self, a gentle reminder that my needs matter, even in the darkness. Some nights, I need a little extra help calming down. That's when I turn to chamomile tea, an old favorite passed down from my mother's kitchen. Chamomile has been used for generations to calm frazzled nerves and invite sleep. I keep a small thermos of lightly brewed chamomile tea at my bedside for those nights when my mind feels too busy, or my heart feels heavy with worries I can't quite name. There's something about the scent, the warmth, and the act of sipping that slows everything down, signaling to my body that it's safe to rest. I remember a time not too long ago when I was skeptical about these little rituals. It all seemed too simple, too quaint to be truly effective. But experience has a way of teaching us what science sometimes confirms later. Our bodies respond to kindness, to gentle routines, and to be truly listened to. Hydrating with intention, with the right drink, isn't just about quenching thirst. It's about creating a moment of peace, a bridge between wakefulness and rest. It wasn't long before I began to notice the difference. Nights that once ended in frustration and fatigue became softer and easier to bear. Instead of dreading the 3 a.m. hour, I found myself almost looking forward to the quiet time, the soft lamp glow, the simple pleasure of sipping something warm and nourishing. And on the nights when sleep did return, it felt deeper, sweeter, and more refreshing than I ever remembered. For some women, the story might be a little different. Maybe you wake up not with thirst, but with restless legs, a dull headache, or feeling uncomfortably warm under the covers. All of these can be subtle signs of dehydration. It's easy to dismiss them as just part of getting older, but sometimes a few mindful sips of the right drink are all it takes to ease those symptoms. If you've ever found yourself tossing and turning, unable to settle, take a moment to check in. When was the last time you truly hydrated your body? But let me offer a gentle caution. What you drink matters as much as when you drink. Avoid sugary drinks, sodas, or anything with caffeine after dinner. These can do more harm than good, either spiking your blood sugar or keeping you awake. Stick with water, herbal teas, or warm lemon water with that tiny pinch of sea salt. If you take medications at night, check with your doctor to see if they might be contributing to nighttime dehydration. Sometimes, small adjustments make a big difference. You might also experiment with it when you drink throughout the day. Hydrate steadily. Don't try to catch up in the hour before bed, or you'll find yourself waking up to use the bathroom more than you'd like. Spread your water intake gently, like tending a garden, and your body will thank you. I can't tell you how many women have written to me, after trying these small changes, to share their relief. There's nothing quite like waking up after a good night's rest, feeling refreshed instead of wrung out. For many of us, that change began with something as simple as a warm drink in the dark, a ritual of self-kindness, a quiet act of care in the loneliest hour. So next time you wake up parched in the wee hours, remember, your body is talking to you. Listen with love. Keep a thermos of warm, lightly salted water or soothing tea nearby, and see how this small act transforms your nights. You might just find, as I did, that the path back to restful sleep begins with the gentlest of sips. And as the first light of dawn begins to touch your window, you'll know you gave your body exactly what it needed. Not just water, but warmth, intention, and a little bit of grace. Because caring for yourself, even in the quietest hours, is never wasted. It's a gift that ripples through your days and nights, a reminder that you are worth every moment of peace and comfort you can create. 3. Check your emotional state. It could be a warning sign. For so many of us, the night can be both a refuge and a battleground. There's a certain stillness after midnight, a hush that falls over the house and neighborhood as if the world itself is finally taking a breath. But for many senior women, this quiet can sometimes turn heavy. If you find yourself waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning, wide awake for no obvious reason, you might be tempted to blame it on age or a cup of coffee too late in the afternoon. Yet, if you look a little closer, you might notice a pattern. These nighttime awakenings often carry an emotional charge. Maybe it's a sudden wave of sadness, a pang of longing for someone you miss, or a worry that's been hiding in the background all day, finally coming out when everything else is silent. Maybe your heart feels restless, or your chest feels heavy. Some mornings, you may even feel a little tearful without knowing why, blinking away memories that seem to rise out of nowhere. For years, I thought I was alone in this. Until, in quiet conversations with friends, I learned just how common these feelings are. There's an old saying that the night reveals what the day tries to hide, and it rings true for so many of us. During the busy hours, there are errands to run, calls to answer, meals to cook, and people to care for. But when the house is dark and the world is still, we're left alone with our thoughts and feelings, both the gentle ones and the sharp ones. I remember one night, years after my husband passed, when I woke up at 3:30 a.m. with a deep ache in my chest, missing his voice so much it felt like a physical pain. I tried to shrug it off, telling myself to get some sleep, but the feeling wouldn't budge. It lingered, quietly shaping the rest of my night and even the morning after. As I grew older, I started to notice a strange pattern. It wasn't always the aches in my body or the temperature of the room that woke me, but my own heart. Sometimes it was regret, over words unsaid, or time that felt wasted. Other nights, it was anxiety, fluttering in my stomach about the future or my family's well-being. And sometimes, it was grief, soft but insistent, like a whisper calling me back to people and places I still miss. It turns out, this isn't just poetic, it's rooted in real, human biology. In traditional Chinese medicine, the hours between 3 and 5 a.m. are connected to the lungs, which, in turn, are said to hold emotions like grief and sadness. Whether or not you believe in that philosophy, there's something universally true here. Our bodies and minds are deeply connected. When we ignore our feelings during the day, they have a way of finding us at night. So, what can you do when you find yourself awake, not just in body, but in spirit? The first step is simple, though not always easy. Acknowledge what you feel. Rather than scolding yourself for being too emotional or telling yourself to just sleep, take a gentle moment to check in. Ask yourself, what's on my mind right now? Is there something I'm carrying that I haven't dealt with? Sometimes, just naming what you feel is enough to soften its grip. I keep a small journal by my bedside for moments like these. When I wake with a heart full of tangled thoughts, I reach for that notebook and write down whatever comes. No editing, no judgment. Worried about my daughter's health. Missing my friend who moved away. Still upset about that argument last week. Sometimes the words don't make much sense, and that's okay. The important thing is to let them out, to give shape to the feeling instead of letting it swirl around inside me all night. Research backs this up. Studies show that writing down your worries, even briefly, can help your brain process and release them. It's as if, by putting your thoughts on paper, you're telling your mind, I hear you. I'll handle this when the time is right. For now, let's rest. This simple act of acknowledgement often leads to a wave of relief, a little space to breathe, even if sleep doesn't return right away. Breathing is another gentle tool for navigating nighttime emotions. Once I've written down my worries, I like to close my eyes and take 5 deep, slow breaths, imagining each inhale bringing in calm, and each exhale releasing tension or sadness. Sometimes I whisper to myself, I release what no longer serves me. It sounds small, but over time, this practice becomes a habit of kindness toward yourself. With each breath, you're permitting yourself to let go, at least for the night. If you find that a particular feeling keeps returning night after night, a stubborn sadness or a persistent anxiety, it might be a gentle sign from your heart that something in your life needs attention. Don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it. Talk to a trusted friend, a counselor, or your faith community. There's nothing weak about needing support. In fact, it's one of the bravest things you can do. One of my dearest friends, Janet, used to wake up almost every night, feeling anxious and alone. For years, she kept it to herself, embarrassed to talk about her feelings. When she finally shared her struggles with our small book club, something remarkable happened. We all confessed to having similar nights, moments of doubt, fear, and longing that we'd hidden away. The simple act of sharing brought us closer together, and somehow, the feelings didn't seem so heavy after that. Sometimes, you'll find that your emotions are tied to a specific event, a loss, a big change, a worry about the future. Other times, the feeling is more like a cloud passing overhead, present but not fully understood. That's all right. Just as the weather changes, so do our hearts. Not every feeling needs to be solved in the middle of the night. Sometimes, it's enough just to notice it, name it, and offer yourself a little comfort. Some women find that a spiritual practice helps anchor their emotions. Saying a quiet prayer, listening to calming music, or reciting a favorite poem. Others find peace in ritual, lighting a candle, touching a treasured keepsake, or sitting quietly by the window, watching the moon drift across the sky. Whatever brings you comfort, let yourself lean into it. The night can be a friend as well as a foe, a time for reflection and gentle healing. On rare nights, when sleep feels impossible and your heart feels too full, be gentle with yourself the next day. Move slowly. Take a walk in the fresh air. Call a friend. Remind yourself that you are not your worst thoughts and that every feeling, no matter how heavy, will pass. There is no right way to handle nighttime emotions, only the way that feels kindest to you. If you're someone who has spent a lifetime putting others first, it can feel strange, even selfish, to give your own heart this much attention. But you deserve it. Your feelings matter, even in the darkness. Especially in the darkness. So the next time you wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, heart pounding or tears threatening, don't rush to silence your feelings. Invite them in, just for a moment. Write them down, breathe them out, or simply sit with them quietly. You might be surprised by how quickly they soften, and how much lighter you feel. In the end, checking in with your emotions is less about fixing a problem, and more about honoring your own experience. It's a gentle warning sign from your heart, asking you to listen, to care, and to remember that you're never truly alone. Not in the darkness, and not in the dawn that always follows. 4. Move, but keep it gentle. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. It's one of those nights again. The world outside is silent, the neighborhood lost in darkness, and the occasional flicker of a street lamp. You lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, the clock blinking a stubborn 3:41 a.m. You've tried deep breathing. You've sipped your warm water. You've written in your bedside journal, letting your worries spill onto the page. Yet here you are, still awake, acutely aware of every muscle, every joint, every inch of your skin. There's a heaviness in your limbs, a sense of restlessness, like your body is just waiting for something, anything, to change. For so many of us, the years have brought both wisdom and aches. Sometimes, we wake in the middle of the night to find our bodies stiff and sore, our muscles quietly protesting the hours spent lying in one position. Other times, it's a restless energy that keeps us from sinking back into sleep, a kind of tension that creeps from our neck to our toes, refusing to be ignored. The old advice would tell us to stay still, to keep fighting for sleep, but sometimes, stillness is the very thing that keeps us awake. I used to believe that waking up meant I should just lie there. Don't move, don't give in, just wait for sleep to return. But those nights often became the longest, as I tossed and turned in frustration, feeling more and more disconnected from my own body. I would think of the women in my family, my mother, my aunt, even my grandmother, who would whisper the same complaints over breakfast. My legs were so restless last night. My hips just wouldn't settle. We used to laugh about it, but in those lonely, wakeful hours, it felt anything but funny. It wasn't until a particularly restless winter night that I tried something different. I was lying awake, staring at the snow falling outside, when I remembered an old friend's advice. When you can't sleep, don't force stillness, invite gentle movement. There was a tenderness to her words, and in that moment, they felt like a lifeline. I sat up in bed, unsure and a little skeptical, but willing to try anything for relief. I started with my neck, slowly rolling my head from side to side, feeling the tension melt away from my shoulders. I shrugged my shoulders up toward my ears, held them for a few seconds, and let them drop, almost like exhaling with my whole upper body. I stretched my arms up, then folded forward at the waist, letting my hands dangle toward the floor. Each small movement brought a subtle wave of release, as if my muscles were quietly thanking me for paying attention. And then, I shook out my legs, just a little, letting the restlessness flow out through my feet. It was such a simple thing, but it felt like magic, a gentle reset, a soft reminder that I still had some control over my comfort. I remember lying back down, my body humming with quiet relief, and, to my surprise, feeling sleep return in gentle waves not long after. The truth is that our bodies were made to move, even in the stillness of night. As we age, our circulation slows, our joints stiffen, and our muscles tighten, especially after hours spent in one position. Gentle movement, far from waking us up, can help our bodies transition back to rest, releasing tension and encouraging the brain to switch from alert mode back to relaxation. Science backs this up. Studies have shown that mindful, slow movement helps to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what allows us to relax and, eventually, sleep. But the key is in the gentleness. This isn't about a midnight workout or marching laps around the living room. It's about small, intentional movements that soothe rather than stimulate. Think of it as a sleep reset, A loving way to say to your body, I hear you. Let's try this together. Over time, I've built a little routine that's as comforting as a lullaby. I call it my 1-minute reset, and I share it with every friend who complains about those sleepless, restless nights. Here's how it goes. Neck rolls. Sit up in bed or on the edge. Drop your chin to your chest and gently roll your head in a slow circle, pausing wherever you find tension. Let your breath guide you, exhaling as you roll through the stiff spots. You might be surprised at how much relief you feel with just a few circles. Shoulder shrugs. Lift both shoulders toward your ears, hold for 3 seconds, and then let them drop with a sigh. Repeat 2 or 3 times. Each shrug is like telling your body, you can let go now. Gentle forward fold. Sitting on the edge of your bed, let your hands rest on your knees. Slowly bend forward, letting your arms hang down, your head heavy. Feel the stretch in your back, the weight leaving your shoulders. Stay here for a few breaths, then slowly roll back up. Legs shake out. Lie back down, legs straight. Lightly shake your legs out, one at a time or together, for 10 to 15 seconds. Imagine the restlessness draining away, down through your feet and into the mattress. Bonus tip. If your hands or feet feel cold, something that happens to many of us as circulation changes with age, rub them together for a few moments. The warmth you generate is surprisingly soothing, and it helps signal to your nervous system that it's safe to relax. I know what you might be thinking, will this help? I understand the doubt. After all, we're told so often that sleep should come naturally, that rest means stillness. But the wisdom of gentle movement has been passed down through generations, and more sleep experts are embracing it as a simple, effective tool for better sleep. Many women who have tried these gentle stretches have shared with me that they not only fall asleep more easily, but wake up feeling less stiff, more mobile, and even a little more optimistic about the day ahead. It's as if those small nighttime movements plant a seed of self-care that grows through the morning. And if sleep doesn't come right away, at least you've given your body a gift, a few minutes of care, a release from tension, a kindness that is always needed, no matter the hour. Sometimes, the act of moving gently in the night can even become a cherished ritual. I have a friend named Margaret who keeps a soft lamp on her nightstand and a pair of fuzzy socks nearby. Whenever she wakes up restless, she lights her lamp, puts on her socks, and goes through her gentle stretch routine before climbing back into bed. It's like tucking myself in all over again, she says. I always feel better, even if I only sleep a little. There's also a lesson in acceptance here. If you wake in the night and your body is crying out for movement, you don't have to scold yourself or feel guilty. You can meet your body where it is, responding with compassion instead of frustration. Sometimes, it's that very act of self-kindness that makes all the difference. And if you share your home with a partner, don't worry. These movements are quiet, easy, and unlikely to disturb anyone else. Some couples find themselves stretching together, turning a sleepless hour into a gentle moment of connection. So the next time you find yourself tossing and turning at 3 or 4 a.m., don't feel trapped by the stillness. Listen to your body. Move, but keep it gentle. Let each stretch, each roll of your shoulders, be an act of care, an invitation to comfort, a path back to peaceful rest. Know that you're honoring not just your need for sleep, but your body's lifelong wisdom, its yearning for movement, even in the quietest hours. And when, at last, sleep returns, let yourself surrender to it. You've earned it. Your body cared for and heard will thank you, not just in the night, but with every easier morning that follows. 5. Listen to something that calms your brain. There's a certain kind of quiet in the early morning hours that feels different from any other time. The house is utterly still, shadows stretching across the floor, the refrigerator humming gently in the background. Maybe you can hear the faint tick of a clock or the rustle of leaves outside your window. Yet, inside your own, it can feel anything but quiet. If you're like so many other women I know, myself included, this is when your thoughts begin to race. The stillness outside is met by a flurry of worries, memories, or ideas that refuse to let you drift back into sleep. For years, I thought I had to simply endure those restless hours, lying awake and waiting for sleep to return on its own. I would lie there, frustrated, replaying old conversations, worrying about loved ones, planning tomorrow's to-do list, or even reliving mistakes from decades ago. The more I tried to silence my mind, the louder it seemed to get. My heartbeat would quicken, and a simple night of broken sleep could turn into a spiral of anxiety and exhaustion that lingered well into the next day. But one night, something shifted. My daughter had given me a little wireless speaker as a birthday gift, and on a whim, I decided to try something different. Instead of fighting my thoughts, I would try to gently guide them somewhere peaceful. I reached for my phone and found a recording of soft rainfall, a gentle, rhythmic pattern that filled the room. As I lay back and listened, I felt my breathing slow. The noise in my mind softened as if the rain was washing some of my worries away. Before I knew it, I drifted off, the world outside and inside finally in harmony. That experience opened a new world for me and, over time, for many of my friends. There's real power in sound. The right kind of sound doesn't just fill the silence. It soothes your nervous system, quiets racing thoughts, and gently encourages your brain to let go. Not all sounds are created equal, though. The secret is in finding what truly calms you, not what stimulates or distracts you. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. For some, the solution is pink noise. You might have heard of white noise machines, steady static or fan sounds used to block out disturbances. Pink noise is similar but softer and more balanced. Imagine the sound of gentle rain, rustling leaves, or distant ocean waves. Unlike white noise, which can feel harsh or artificial, pink noise has a deeper, richer quality. Scientists have found that pink noise can help improve memory and sleep quality, especially in older adults. It's a sound that cradles you, masking little background noises and creating a comforting blanket of calm. You don't need fancy equipment. There are plenty of pink noise tracks on YouTube or sleep apps. Set the volume low, just enough to fill the background. I like to think of it as recreating those peaceful afternoons from childhood, when I'd fall asleep on the porch as a summer storm rolled through, the rain a steady lullaby. Some women prefer guided meditations or sleep stories. I was hesitant at first, thinking meditation was something reserved for yoga studios or the pages of self-help books. But guided sleep meditations are wonderfully simple. A gentle voice, sometimes a woman, sometimes a man, invites you to slow your breath, relax each muscle, and imagine yourself in a peaceful place. Some use body scan techniques, moving your attention from your toes to the top of your head, letting each part of you soften. Others use gentle imagery, walking through a forest, floating on a cloud, listening to the waves. The magic isn't in the words themselves, but in the cadence, the calmness, the invitation to let go. Many sleep apps offer free meditations, and YouTube has a treasure trove of recordings for every taste. You can choose a short 5-minute session or a longer one, whatever your heart needs. If you wake up anxious or tangled in worries, these gentle voices can be a lifeline, helping you turn down the volume of your thoughts. Sometimes, a monotone audiobook works wonders. Not a thriller or a dramatic novel. Those will only keep you more awake. Instead, pick something familiar and gentle, like an old classic, nature essays, or even a history book you've read before. The idea isn't to be entertained, but to be soothed. I keep a small playlist of comforting audiobooks, the kind where nothing too exciting happens and the narrator's voice is steady and soft. There's something about listening to a calm voice, telling a gentle story, that encourages your mind to drift and, eventually, to release its grip on wakefulness. One of my friends swears by listening to recordings of ocean waves. Another prefers the faint hum of a train moving through the night. A neighbor finds comfort in the gentle chirping of crickets. There's no right or wrong here. What matters is finding a soundscape that feels like a lullaby for your soul. Sometimes, the sounds that remind us of childhood, of nature, or of happy memories are the most effective. But there's a pitfall, too. One I fell into myself before learning better. Avoid the temptation to scroll through your phone, check social media, or watch TV. The blue light from screens tells your brain to wake up, and dramatic news or stimulating content will only make it harder to sleep. If you use your phone or tablet for sound, keep the screen as dim as possible and resist the urge to just check the news or messages. There's a subtle art to choosing your nighttime sounds. If you share your space, consider headphones or a small pillow speaker so your partner isn't disturbed. Experiment with volume and type until you find what feels best. On some nights, the softest rain is enough. On others, I crave a gentle human voice. Sometimes I combine the two, a story told in the background as the rain falls. Over time, these sound rituals have become as much a part of my nightly routine as brushing my teeth or setting out my clothes for the morning. They're not just distractions from sleeplessness. They are gentle invitations to rest, signals to my brain and body that it's time to let go. I've shared these tips with countless women, and the gratitude I hear is always the same. I never knew sound could make such a difference. For some, these practices have become treasured habits, a quiet moment of self-care, a way to reclaim the night not as a time of loneliness or frustration, but as a space for peace. So the next time you find yourself wide awake in the quietest hours, heart racing and thoughts spinning, try reaching for a sound that soothes. Maybe it's the familiar hush of pink noise, the gentle guidance of a meditation, or the slow unfolding of an old story. Let the sound wash over you, softening the edges of your wakefulness, inviting you to float gently towards sleep. Remember, there's no shame in needing comfort, no matter your age. In a world that's always telling us to be strong, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let yourself be soothed, by music, by a story, by the rain, or simply by the sound of your own steady breath. You deserve nights filled with peace, and if a little sound helps your mind let go, then let it become your gift to yourself, night after gentle night. As the quiet of the early morning slowly gives way to the gentle light of dawn, I want you to remember something important. Waking up between 3 and 5 in the morning is not a flaw or a sign that you're broken. It's simply another chapter in the beautiful, complex story of growing older. Maybe you've spent too many nights judging yourself or feeling alone in those silent hours, but you are not alone. Not tonight, not ever. So many women across this country share the same restless moments, the same search for comfort and meaning in the dark. You've learned tonight that you don't have to fight your body or scold yourself for being awake. You can breathe deeply, make small adjustments, and turn those quiet minutes into time just for you. A gentle check-in with your heart, your mind, and your body. Maybe, instead of feeling frustrated, you'll find a sliver of peace in the stillness, a bit of clarity in the calm. And maybe, over time, you'll even come to treasure these moments as little reminders that you are alive, feeling, and connected to something greater than yourself. If these thoughts have resonated with you, please know you deserve kindness, from yourself and from others. Your story matters. If you'd like, share your experiences in the comments below. I'd be honored to hear from you. And as you face each new morning, may you carry with you a deep sense of peace, knowing you are strong, worthy, and never alone.